Namaste and welcome. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you try to move forward in life, something keeps pulling you back? You make progress, and then suddenly you find yourself repeating the same patterns, the same emotional pain, the same unhealthy choices, the same kinds of relationships. If this resonates with you, you may be caught in what I call the triangle of misery, a powerful and often unconscious cycle formed by three interconnected negative forces: traumas, toxic relationships, and destructive habits. Today, we will explore this triangle, understand how it forms, and most importantly, how we can begin to step out of it. First, traumas. At the root of the triangle lies trauma. Trauma is not only the extreme events we often think of: abuse, violence, or loss. It can also be subtle emotional neglect, feeling unseen as a child, growing up in an environment where love was conditional or where safety was uncertain. Trauma can take different forms: physical trauma, including injury, abuse, or sexual trauma; mental trauma, shaped by harmful beliefs, conditioning, or psychological distress; emotional trauma, arising from rejection, abandonment, neglect, or loss; spiritual trauma, a deep sense of disconnection, emptiness, or loss of meaning, purpose, and faith. These experiences leave impressions deep within the psyche. They shape how we see ourselves, how we perceive others, and how we interpret the world. A child who felt unworthy may grow into an adult who constantly seeks validation. A person who experienced instability may develop a deep fear of abandonment. And often, these wounds are not fully conscious. They quietly operate beneath the surface, influencing our decisions, our reactions, and our relationships. Second, toxic relationships. From these unresolved traumas, we often enter into toxic relationships, not because we consciously choose suffering, but because the familiar feels safe, even when it is painful. We may be drawn to partners who mirror our early experiences. If love once came with criticism, we may accept criticism as a form of love. If attention was inconsistent, we may become attached to those who are emotionally unavailable. This is not weakness, it is conditioning. The nervous system seeks what it knows, and so we may find ourselves in relationships that reinforce our deepest wounds rather than heal them. These relationships often involve patterns such as manipulation, control, emotional neglect, or even subtle forms of disrespect that gradually erode our sense of self. Third, destructive habits. To cope with the pain created by trauma and toxic relationships, we develop habits. Some of these habits may provide temporary relief, but at a long-term cost. This can include emotional eating, substance use, excessive distraction, avoidance, compulsive behaviors, or even staying constantly busy to escape inner discomfort. These habits are not random. They are attempts to regulate pain, to soothe the nervous system, to avoid facing what feels overwhelming. But over time, they begin to deepen the suffering. They drain our energy, cloud our clarity, and often create guilt or shame, feeding back into the original wounds. Here is where the triangle becomes powerful and dangerous. Trauma leads us into toxic relationships. Toxic relationships intensify our emotional pain. That pain fuels destructive habits, and those habits prevent us from healing the original trauma. The cycle continues again and again and again. Many people spend years, sometimes a lifetime, moving within this triangle, wondering why nothing truly changes. Now, the important question: how do we step out of this cycle? The first step is awareness. To simply recognize this is a pattern, not a personal failure, not a fixed identity, a pattern. And what is learned can be unlearned. Healing trauma. Healing begins at the root. This may involve deep inner work through professional therapy, meditation, or self-reflection. In addition, powerful holistic approaches can support this healing. Reiki healing releases deeply stored mental and emotional imprints of trauma. Chakra balancing restores the natural flow of life force energy within the body, helping to clear energy blockages created by past wounds. Intuitive consultation brings attention and awareness to hidden patterns, allowing you to understand the deeper causes of your experiences. These approaches work at subtle and profound levels, supporting the release of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual trauma. Healing requires compassion toward oneself, not judgment, not criticism, but a gentle willingness to face what has been avoided, to sit with the pain without running from it, to understand it rather than suppress it. The second step is to become conscious of the relationships we allow into our lives. We begin to ask, does this relationship nourish me or deplete me? Is there mutual respect or subtle harm? Do I feel seen and valued or dismissed? This is where boundaries become essential, not as walls, but as acts of self-respect. And sometimes It requires the courage to walk away from what is familiar but unhealthy. As inner healing deepens, the types of relationships we attract and accept begin to change naturally. Finally, we gently address our habits, not with harsh discipline, but with awareness and substitution. Instead of numbing pain, we learn to process it. Instead of escaping discomfort, we learn to sit with it. Healthy practices such as conscious breathing, movement, journaling, meditation, and energy-based healing practices can gradually replace destructive patterns. The goal is not perfection, it is progress. The triangle of misery is powerful, but it is not permanent. At any moment, with awareness, courage, and compassion, we can begin to step out of it. Healing is not a straight line. There may be setbacks. There may be moments where old patterns resurface. But each time you become aware, each time you choose differently, you weaken the triangle. And over time, it loses its hold. You are not defined by your traumas. You are not bound to toxic relationships. And you are not your habits. You are something far deeper, far more resilient, and far more capable of transformation than you may realize. The moment you begin to perceive the triangle is the moment you begin to transcend it. Thank you for being here and now.